Hello, and welcome to my video series on moving and feeling better. This is a video series that covers a range of topics, all the way from feeling like you cannot cope at home to feeling like you're full of hope at home, and everything in between. And I'm doing this series because I know that you're likely part of the 93% of Canadians who want to remain at home as long as possible. So I'm going to start the series with moving and feeling better when you feel you cannot cope. I can tell you there are some physical signs that your body tells me in physio that tells me that we could do some things to improve your ability to cope. I suspect there are non-physical things as well, stressors and adaptations to those stressors, but they haven't been studied in a high level of detail sufficient to make really firm conclusions. So I have to stick with the information, the concrete information that I have to give you in today's video. All right, so when people are having trouble coping, here's what I see. First of all, their walking speed is reduced, and there's a cutoff. It is 1 meter per second. Now, you don't have to go out and time yourself, but you could have a look at what 1 meter per second looks like. That would be the speed at which people usually are crossing a crosswalk. If you're significantly slower than the average person crossing a crosswalk, you probably are at a higher risk of falls. And so, I'm not saying go out there and start sprinting, but be mindful of this, that there are some things that you can do to improve your ability, your physical ability. And they are, at this point, mainly centered around your leg strength. We study a person's ability to get out of their chair in 30 seconds. Going all the way to standing to all the way to sitting, with or without hands. And the average speed that we see in older adults is 8 to 12 lifts. Full cycles of lifts and lowering. And there are cutoffs in the 8 to 12 range that would make a difference in risk. It depends on if you're male or female. It depends on your age. But if you're in that 8 to 12 range, you may be on the fringes of risk. Okay? The other thing is a person's ability to stand on one leg. Now, please do not go and test your own balance at home. I'm giving you this for information's sake only, okay? So sometimes we see people who don't want to use a walker, and yet when they go to stand on one leg, they cannot stand on one leg for more than 5 seconds. And this, to me, indicates that it may be the time to start thinking about taking extra precautions to keep yourself safe. We're going to move on to those precautions in a minute, but there's one more thing that I feel all people can do to keep themselves moving better, and that is improving your grip strength. We physios actually can measure that in kilograms with a tool called a dynamometer. And there are absolute cutoffs that would indicate someone who is lower risk, medium risk, higher risk, depending on their grip strength. And so you don't have to go and measure your grip strength. I think anybody can improve their grip strength just by using their hands more, using their grip. I enjoy playing with Play-Doh, but you can get a squeeze ball or squeeze anything in your squeeze a pillow while you're watching TV. Something comfortable, something that's easy to use, something that isn't difficult for you to start doing now, start doing regularly. So if you're noticing that there are some signs that might indicate to you an increased level of risk, what can you do? I think now, more than ever, it's important to think about strategies for safety. And so the first main strategy for safety is setup. Setup can include your positioning. Setup can include your equipment. So with stand-ups and sit-downs, what you want to have is you want to have your feet under you when you're at the edge of your chair before you get up. So you're going to wiggle, and then you're going to put your feet under you so they can be effectively pushing. And then you're going to have your walker positioned in front of you and your brakes on. You guys, these walkers have brakes that lock. Many of them push down to lock. So lock your brakes before you stand, and then you know you've got something that's going to wiggle very little when you're relying on it. And always, if you can, push, don't pull. The walker is not meant to be that kind of a support, okay? Even if you push to stand with your hands on the walker, it can still wiggle. So if you can effectively get out of your chair by pushing from armrests, that is a safer strategy, right? If the chair has a wall behind it, that's always going to be an even more safe strategy, because even a chair like this on linoleum can still wiggle, right? So whenever there's something bracing it, this setup can make the difference in safety, right? So here I am, wiggled. My feet are under me. I'm pushing from the armrests, and I've got my brakes on, and I'm only using my walker once I'm in standing. Okay, there. Now notice, this walker's too high for me, right? The handle should be where my wristwatch would sit if my arm was at my side. I'm going to do a whole different topic about equipment in my next post, I think, because equipment can be very important right now. Just to give you an idea, some of the main pieces of equipment that I set people up in a time of crisis are, yes, four-wheeled walkers. These walkers with the seat, they can be helpful because they allow you to move things around your home with this seat. You can put a tray on it, and you don't need an extra set of hands. So for someone who's really needing to move items around their home, yes, this works. For someone who's very concerned about their safety, I much prefer the two-wheeled walker with the skis, because it still does move on different surfaces, and the skis make more contact with the floor than the wheels, and it's not as tippy and it's not as fast. And another item that people often use is a commode, and the reason is because then, especially at nighttime, the commode can come right to bed, beside bed, and minimize the walking in the night to get to the bathroom in a hurry. So commodes, bedpans, bedside urinals, these are all items that people often need to get urgently. So if you're thinking about being prepared and you think you may need these items at some point, now might be the time to look around in your community, See if there's somebody who has one who will borrow it, loan it to you. I'm not saying you have to go out and buy it, because there are government programs that can cover these items if you are assessed as needing them. I'll talk about that in the next post. But, you know, now's the time to ask around. You might actually be able to borrow one from someone, and it might give you peace of mind to know that you have the equipment you may need tucked away close by, so you can figure it out when you need it. So this is what I mean when I talk about setup. And every task, whether it be getting in and out of the car, getting in and out of the tub, getting in and out of bed, getting in and out of a wheelchair, these all have been broken down into steps. And the first step is always setup, and it's always involving breaks or bracing. The second thing is the steps, the sequencing. So setup and then sequencing. Sequencing means you're breaking down the larger job into smaller tasks, and then thinking about them. Who is the one communicating? What needs to be said? Who's the leader? Who's the follower? So in the case of getting up to stand, lots of people use the 1, 2, 3, right? But what does that mean? Does it mean up on 3? Does it mean 1, 2, 3, then go? I mean, these things can be clarified in advance. Who's counting? How much help do I need? Do I want help under the armpits? Is there a transfer belt that I can put around my waist so that if someone needs to help, they're not pulling under my arms, right? So these are the things that can be discussed, and what I love doing is writing down those steps into very simple terms, even numbering them if you want, and then posting them where they're needed. So everyone could take a minute. Okay, check. Clarification. We're all on the same page here. It's written on the walker. It's in the walker basket. It's in the bag at the back of the wheelchair. Take it out. All right, we're all on the same page. Let's go. And so I hope that these ideas have given you a sense of control, that you have things you can do to help yourself right now. If you need one-on-one advice, currently it's April 1st, 2020, and in Alberta, yes, we as physiotherapists are permitted by the Alberta government to go in and do home visits in the case of emergencies or critical events that might affect your ability to cope at home. So on our website, myhomephysio.ca, we do have some information there about in-person visits. Of course, we're always hopeful that we can address people's needs with online appointments, because then we're not making the close contact right now. There's information on the website as well about online appointments, and we're offering online appointments to Calgarians right now, but lots of clinics are offering online appointments. And for those of you who don't feel like you can afford physiotherapy, I'm going to work on making a blog post of some YouTube videos of people going about their day and some strategies, some sequencing that other people have used to go about their day in a safe and organized manner. So I'm going to make a blog post about that and put it on the website, myhomephysio.ca. And so now, I've got a request for you. Can you think about, are there any factors that you notice in your day-to-day life, the things I talked about, the grip strength, The ability to get out of the chair many times in 30 seconds, 8 to 12 seconds. The speed at which you would cross a crosswalk. Are you on the fringes of risk? What can you do to break that cycle to ensure that you're not part of the 40% of home care users in Canada that are likely to fall in the next 90 days? Can you take more precautions to ensure if you've had a fall in the last year, that you are going to take the extra precautions so that you're not part of the 40% of Canadians who have another fall in the next 90 days? These risks are real, but so are the things that you can do to take control back. Think about it. Make a plan. Tell somebody about it. I want to hear about it. I want to cheer you on. So post your plan. Commit. Let us all help you succeed in taking care of yourself, in moving, and in feeling better.